So hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Question Block. And the last question was, what is a game that would benefit from a harder difficulty option? So, I think there's quite a lot of games that would definitely benefit from one, but let's discuss the responses here. So DE23 said Pikmin 4 needs one, but I think it's in more dire need of a new game plus, since a decent amount of the unlocks are so late in the game that you'll really only use them when retrying for high scores in Dandori challenges. Yeah, I absolutely agree with the new game plus thing, because, like you said, so many of the things in the game are unlocked, like, very late, like, when you almost have, like, all of the content completed in the game, really. And I think that's kind of unfortunate. I mean, you can unlock them earlier, but sometimes when going through, like, a first playthrough, you might forget about it, or, like, not know about it. So, I feel like it would be nice to actually have those different options, like the lineup trumpet and some of the other abilities, like earlier in the game, as well as things like purple Pikmin and white Pikmin. I mean, yeah, you can get them out of caves earlier in the game, but I do feel like they should be more widely accessible earlier in the game, because it seems like you don't really get a lot of them until, like, much later in the game, so I think that would be nice to have, like, a lot of those things earlier. And then just a harder difficulty option in general would definitely benefit Pikmin 4 a lot. While Pikmin 4 is easily my favorite game in the series, it is pretty easy, and there really isn't any difficulty options, so I really feel like Pikmin 4 needs something a little more challenging, because I think it would definitely make it pretty enjoyable for playing through the game again. So Ricky Lee Norton said, the upcoming Paper Mario TTYD remake. The original game does get hard at the end in the latter parts of the Pit of 100 trials, but I think the remake could really benefit from a harder difficulty for the main game, to give more experienced players more of a challenge, to give it more replayability too, as well as a boss rush for a fun challenge, to make more optional stuff in the game, like in Bowser's Inside Story. I also think it would be fun if they added a secret, really hard super boss into it that takes advantage of Mario and all of his partner's abilities, the ultimate test of your combat skills, like classic Paper Mario equivalent to something like the Perfect Run or Champion's Road from the mainline Mario platformers. And another thing to add on to that, also like Cool X 3D from Mario RPG. I think that's also a pretty fitting comparison as well. But yeah, I definitely think Thousand Year Door has a lot of potential for different, like, harder difficulty options. I threw out the possibility of a second Pit of 100 Trials one time. Like, let's say if there's like one on the moon. I mean, hopefully they don't make it like where you'd have to beat it twice, like in Super Paper Mario, but just having like a second one that's optional would be pretty cool. And just like in the main story in general, it would be nice to have a harder difficulty. I don't think it's that likely, because Nintendo doesn't really add harder difficulties that often in remakes, at least nowadays, but it would be really nice to see one. But another thing like the boss rush, like you mentioned, would be nice. Or even something like Super Mario RPG, where there's like boss rematches. I think it would be cool if they even did even more than the amount of like boss rematches Mario RPG, and had like basically a stronger version of every boss in the game. Well, every major boss in the game. That would be pretty cool. And like you said, the final, like, ultimate boss would be pretty cool. I think that's definitely kind of similar to Cool X 3D, and I'd love to see something as challenging as Cool X 3D in Thousand Year Door. I mean, Bonetail and Shadow Queen, I mean, well, Shadow Queen is, like, in the main story and everything. That was pretty difficult for, like, my first playthrough of the game. Same goes with Bonetail, but going back to them, they're not super difficult, and I would say they're not really as difficult as Cool X 3D, so having something like Cool X 3D in Thousand Year Door would be really nice. So, Lottie said, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Encounters become a bit too easy in that game when you get super strong, and a harder difficulty option would help the game's top-tier combat shine even longer. Yeah, that's one of the only disappointing things about the fact that Tears of the Kingdom didn't really get post-launch updates or like any additional content at all. I mean, it's perfectly understandable why it doesn't have DLC, but it would have been really nice if we at least got something like a hero mode in the game, similar to Breath of the Wild, because that was a really cool addition. I really liked that. And then also like some other like trials and things that you can do, like some missions that are like really difficult. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, I feel like Tears of the Kingdom, while the main game, I would say, is a little more difficult than Breath of the Wild, like, just on its own, it is a little more difficult because of the depth. And I would also say some of the bosses are a little more difficult, but I definitely think it would benefit from more difficulty options. So, Koopa Production 64 said, Kirby Star Allies. The game is so unbelievably easy for Kirby standards that it's genuinely kind of impossible for me to die in that game. Unironically, the overly easy difficulty has ruined the game for me, and I kinda wish there was some resemblance, or some semblance of challenge. By the way, I'm aware of the True Arena, there's some challenge in there, but I wish that the main game would have something that provided even a little bit of difficulty, instead of feeling like the exact same difficulty the entire time. Yeah, that's why Kirby Star Allies was just so boring to me. Like Kirby games are easy, but at least they're fun. Like Kirby Star Allies with its level design, it's just kind of like extremely bland and doesn't really have that much to offer. And like you said, there's really no difficulty curve here. It mostly stays about the same throughout the entire game. So I definitely think it would be beneficial if it had like more difficulty in everything, but I think that's partially due to like the level design itself being so empty. But yeah, I like Kirby Star Allies would definitely benefit from that. Like even though it does have like very difficult like extra modes in the game, like those are like still like cool and everything. I do like that they're difficult and provide some difficulty in the game, but I wish it was in the main story. So AntForce YT said, I had so much fun with Mario RPG, but it was way too easy, especially for a Mario game. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed it. If I want a makeshift hard mode, try not to block enemies' attacks, I guess. Yeah, I agree with that. As a big fan of the Mario RPGs, like, you guys probably know how much I love Paper Mario and Mario RPG as well, because I've been covering that quite a lot on the channel as well. But Mario RPG is not that hard. It is pretty easy, like, especially for, like, RPG standards, and even Mario RPG standards. Like, the only games that I would say are probably like about the same difficulty as Mario RPG in terms of how easy it is, or maybe Superstar Saga, because I didn't really have that hard of a time with that game. Super Paper Mario as well, and also Mario & Luigi Paper Jam. That game is not really that hard. Well, that game is just extremely bland as well, but Mario RPG, like, it's definitely one of the easiest Mario RPGs, but it is still one of my favorites, despite that, but it would definitely benefit from, like, a harder difficulty and everything, because the battle system is so good, especially in the remake. I think it was great in the remake, like, what they did with the combo system and everything. But the fact that there is splash damage does kind of make it a little easier. Like, a harder mode, I definitely think they should cut out the splash damage. Maybe, like, have, like, higher defense for the enemies and things, and, like, a lower HP for the party members, different things like that, And also, like, the enemy attacks being stronger as well. But I definitely think it would greatly benefit the game for people replaying it or people looking for more challenge. I am glad that the remake did have some challenging options, like with Cool X 3D as well as the other super bosses in the game were great, and they were like the perfect difficulty. So I think it would be nice if there was actually like a full harder difficulty option in the game. But yeah. So My Gaming said Super Mario Bros. Wonder. The game could have tighter platforming and the wonder effects are around the level difficulty as the special world. Wonder Bowser Jr.'s fights could be a lot faster or use the duplicates so you can't jump on them as easily. Castle Bowser could go full-on Chaos Elphalus and use the wonder effects like speeding up and slowing down time, or turn you into a Wubba and you have to scale the walls to avoid attacks. Yeah, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, like, I would say that's definitely another game that's a little too easy. I wouldn't say it's the easiest, or, like, kind of like the, least difficult 2D Mario game. I mean, it is definitely one of the more easy ones, but I'd say New Super Mario Bros. U and 2, aside from like the special levels, were a little easier than Wonder, but Wonder definitely was pretty easy as well. And I am glad that they have like certain badges in the game that can kind of make things a little more difficult, but those only seems like simple challenges. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was great that they were there, but I think there should be a little more variety when it comes to like the different difficulty options and everything in a more kind of drawn out difficulty mode. But yeah. So Clifford Longhead said, Minecraft Bedrock, which makes the Wither harder than on easy. Sorry, it's not a Nintendo question, but Minecraft is on the Nintendo Switch. So, with Minecraft, that's kind of an interesting thing, since I feel like that already does have, like, a lot of difficulty options, and it does kind of offer that challenge if you want it. So... And I'm not really sure what you mean by, like, making the Wither specifically harder. Is it, like, something on Minecraft Bedrock that the Wither's, like, easier to fight than on other versions? I'm not really sure. But... On Minecraft Bedrock, yeah, I mean, I guess I could see what you mean there, because it really isn't, like, as accessible with, like, mods and things like that, and being able to, like, completely customize it to your liking and everything like you can with Java. So, I mean, I guess more options with Bedrock would definitely make a lot of sense, but yeah. So, Stinky Steve's biggest fan said, not really a new idea, but more so one for an improvement. Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn Devilish Mode is so annoying, and the idea of a hard game for that game that's otherwise a very beginner-friendly is cool. It's just so much missed potential and overall feels extremely rushed. I feel like they could simply have the devils be less of a nuisance, or just not have them. Have a one-hit death system or less health. Perhaps remove the Ravel abilities entirely. Yeah, like, even though I haven't played Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn or the Devilish Mode, I have heard about how annoying it is and how, like, poorly executed it was. So, it would be nice if this game ever comes back or ever gets, like, a port on the Switch or the next console at some point. If they actually made, like, a better, harder difficulty option. Like, I have heard that, like, with the, devil things on there were, like, pretty annoying, and then there's, like, some music that plays that's, like, really annoying. That's what I've heard about it, but it would be nice if they, improved that and actually made it, like, a more fun, challenging experience. But yeah. So, anyways, those were the responses. And the next question is, what is your favorite Nintendo controller? Let me know down in the comments. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Twitter if you want to. Goodbye.